Tracking some other very crucial developments, we're now learning that the spokesperson of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Oren Marmorstein, will be sharing a brief on the recent events that have taken place in Gaza in just about 22 minutes. So we will be cutting to that very, very shortly. But in the meantime, we're also learning that Gaza Civil Defense Agency has reported that at least 50 people have been killed in these airstrikes that have taken place. In fact, one of the deadliest strikes hit central Khan Yunis, destroying a home and sending injured and dead Palestinians to the city's Nasser Hospital. Listen in to what a resident has had to say.
طلق دفاع مدني خان يونس عن العديد من الإشارات، أولها استهداف جيب من نوع توسان في شارع القسام. توجهت طواقمنا حيث كان العدد الإجمالي 5 شهداء، ومن ثم استهداف شقة سكنية لأهل القدرة، تم انتشال 3 شهداء، والآن تم استهداف أرض بها خيمتين. تم إجلاء العديد من الإصابات على مستشفى ناصر 5 إصابات.
Officials have also reported that 5 people were killed when a missile struck a civilian vehicle on Al-Qasim Street in Khan Yunis. Earlier, 2 civilians, including a child and an infant, were killed in a separate strike on the Al-Bana family home in Gaza City's Al-Sabra neighborhood. This renewed wave follows an assault that left an Israeli soldier dead, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordering new operations against Hamas in the aftermath of that as well. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Saul Satka. Taking a look at the bigger picture, we've seen these strikes in Gaza. We've seen, in fact, airstrikes also take place in the West Bank. What is your feeling as far as the fragile ceasefire is concerned? Will it hold any further? And what are Israel's concerns also with regards to the West Bank and attempts being made to once again sort of reinvigorate the terror networks over there?
So I have no expectation that the ceasefire will break down in total, only because the only people that can make it break down are Israel. The Hamas terrorists are no longer in a position to launch a war, and they're bottled in behind the IDF. So they can't start a war. They can breach the ceasefire, and the Israelis will then punish them for doing so. But there's no particular motive on the part of the Israelis to bring an end to the ceasefire and go back to a full-scale war against Hamas, because Israel has pretty much got everything that it wants from Hamas already. It doesn't bother the Israeli public very much if, on the other side of a wide buffer zone, there are still terrorists living, since they primarily only cause problems to the 2 million people who live under their rule now. So that I don't see that happening, not this side of an Israeli election in any case, which will be approximately a year away. As regards the West Bank, while Israel has been fighting the war in Gaza over the past 2 years, and while it's been attriting its enemies all over the Middle East, essentially, there's almost nothing left of the axis of resistance that can harm Israel. They have also been conducting operations in some of the hubs of terror activity in the West Bank. And there, as the New York Times and others have noted, what they call the resistance has been severely degraded. And yet, they continue to try to rearm and commit terror attacks on Israeli civilians. And so the Israelis continue to wear them down. And the only question is Israel wearing them down faster than they are rearming? And I think the answer is yes. That doesn't mean there won't be any terror coming out of the West Bank. That seems like an inevitability for the foreseeable future, for decades, as it has been for the past decades. However, the Israeli army does seem to have that very much under control in a way that it hasn't been under control for decades. And so I'm optimistic about the future of the ceasefire in the West Bank as well. I expect that to be a long-term calm, relative calm state going forward.
Indeed, and we've also recently seen a statement being put out by the IDF with regards to the presence of Turkish troops as part of the international coalition for ensuring that Gaza returns to normalcy. Donald Trump has pointed out the involvement of Arab states, particularly Egypt, Qatar, the UAE, Turkey as well, which did play a role in mediating the ceasefire. What are Israel's concerns with Turkey as far as its presence on the ground is concerned, and Erdogan's position, factoring Erdogan's position in particular?
Well, Erdogan in particular is no friend of Israel, at least openly. Although the chief of his intelligence staff and parts of the army are very friendly with Israelis behind the scenes. A lot of the stuff that you read from Arab leaders and also from Erdogan attacking Israel, a lot of it is not truly believed. They're saying this to placate their people. The reality is that they are in practice working with Israel on many levels, as everyone knows. So the question is, how much is Israel opposed to any kind of Turkish peacekeepers in Gaza? My assumption is that's real, because there is deep suspicion, at least among the Israeli public, of the motives of Erdogan and parts of Turkey, who have, after all, been harboring Hamas terrorists for a decade, who have actually been extremely aggressive publicly against Israel. And there's no prospect, in my opinion, of that actually happening. I don't even think anyone wants it. I don't think there are any Arab nations or Turkey who actually want to have their soldiers on the ground fighting Hamas beyond the yellow line in the Hamas-controlled part of Gaza. It seems to me totally unrealistic, but time will tell. Maybe I'll be wrong.
All right, with that, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking our time and sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World.